You are listening to the On Purpose Podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the On Purpose Podcast, where we are kicking off the month of September. It's crazy to believe summer is over. We're into fall. And, man, I hope you enjoyed your time. For those of you with kids, I don't envy you being back to school and the craziness that whole schedule brings, but stick it out. It's going to be over before you know it, and your kids will be like ours, off on their own, and every time you see them school buses running down the street, you'll just have memories in your head. So thank you all for being here. You know we can't do this without you, and this week I want to share something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I really pay attention to this because, you know, obviously having a podcast and getting to talk to so many different people, I love having conversations, and I like being able to talk to people, new or old, right? New or old, that have been in my life for a while, or those I just met, but learning something about them, about their past, maybe where they want to go, their stories of how they got where they're at. And I wanted to share some stuff about, like, how do we get deeper conversations with people that cause us to pause and think and maybe ask another question instead of just responding with our opinion. I wanted to maybe plant a seed for us to slow down in our conversations. Because if you think back, for most of us, if we're like, oh man, remember that time we had this conversation with this person or that person, the ones we remember, the ones we learn from, the ones that make us feel energized, alive, curious, wanting to ask more, those are usually the conversations where we're listening more than we're talking. And we're asking questions that get beyond the surface. And we're allowing the time to dig a little deeper. So I wanted to share this week 3 phrases that I personally work hard on making sure I don't put into my conversations. And quite honestly, if I hear them coming towards me in the conversation, it kind of lets me know where we're at, and maybe I don't want to continue it. So here we go. Here's 3 things I think, and this isn't a scientific study, this is just my opinion as someone that has lots of conversations and enjoys them. Here's 3 things I think we should try to avoid saying for conversations. The first one, you should. Right? Think about that. You should. As soon as I say you should, that's the closed-ended start to whatever comes next, right? Like when I start saying you should, it doesn't facilitate you thinking more creatively. It doesn't facilitate you solving another problem or a situation you're in. It means I'm going to say you should and then give you an answer coming next, right? It's not planting ideas. It's not open-ended to where you want to come back with another question, another thought, right? You should ends a lot of conversations, especially if you're talking to children or you're a supervisor in a job and you're having a professional conversation to create growth amongst your team. As soon as a boss, a leader, a parent says you should, well, you've just solved whatever problem the people came to you with. You solved whatever solutions you provided the solution to whatever they were looking for, and they didn't grow, right? You don't grow when people tell you what you should do. Right? And honestly, for me, I'm really, really hypersensitive on this, because if you tell me you should and you don't have experience doing what I'm trying to do or going where I'm trying to go, it's simply based on an opinion with no experience, man, I'm not really, to be honest with you, I'm not super interested in learning more. Right? Because you're telling me something you learned from television, the news, something you maybe read if you actually did some research there. Or maybe, worst off, you're telling me something that somebody else told you that allowed you to form an opinion, but you've never experienced it yourself. Right? You should kills conversations, at least for me. Right? And I really am sensitive on that with my children or anybody in my classes that I get a chance to lead. If they ask me a question, want to answer, what about this? Instead of saying you should do, I say, ask, what do you think? You tell me what you think. Right? Because that's the critical thing I'm trying to get. When I hear from you what you're thinking, that's deeper, right, than the initial problem. Now it's getting you to think for yourself. All right, so one I try to avoid all the time is telling people what they should do or being told what I should do. The next one is I would. Man, I would just puts a smile on my face, right? Because as soon as I hear somebody say, I would do this, I would do that, I just ask them this: why aren't you? Literally, if you can put all the time, energy, effort into thinking what you would do about anything, why are you not taking action? Why are you not doing it already? Right? You already put all the time to think of a plan. You put all the ideas together. You've thought of a way of what you would do. The only thing you're missing now is action. Right? And I'm like, man, are you being lazy? Right? I would do this, but I'm choosing not to. I would do that, but I like watching TV too much. I would do this, but I don't want to restrict my diet and have discipline in my eating habits, so I physically can't do it. Right? It means to me when I hear people saying I would, it tells me they're not prioritizing what they dream about. Right? Because they got this thing going on that they're putting all this thoughts and ideas and energy towards creating a plan. But then they prioritize something else. Right? And if I'm going to put that much energy, effort into thinking what I would do about anything, let's put some energy and effort into acting towards it. Right? So the first one I try not to ever say is, you should. I definitely will not tell you I would. And then the worst one I think is the next one. And that's conversations where either people tell you or you tell them, you or I cannot. You or I can't. And I'm going to tell you right now, that one hits me deep. Ever since I was a little kid, as far back as I can remember people talking to me. If anybody ever told me I couldn't, you can't, I just hold on, because it's about to happen. Like, I'm about to try some stuff. And maybe it didn't always go the way it should. Maybe I should have listened to him. Maybe I shouldn't have done it. But I at least was going to try, because why would I take your opinion about what you can't do, and that becomes my opinion on what I can't do? Right? And if you think about it, if I tell you you can't do something, it's usually because I couldn't do it, or I didn't try it, or I was stuck in the I would and I never gave it an effort. So now I'm going to tell you you can't, because I don't really want to see you do something I didn't choose to do. Right? You can't. I can't. That's limiting beliefs. They don't inspire people. They don't lead people to more creative conversations. It doesn't allow me to tell you my next dream or the next great idea I have or the next thing I might want to challenge, because you just shot this one down. You weren't even open to hearing what this idea was. Why would I tell you another one? Right? To tell someone they can't do something, or to tell yourself you can't do something, it's one of the most selfish things we could do, right? Why would our ceiling, why would our limits be anybody else's? So if your kids come to you with that crazy dream, you got a subordinate at work that comes to you with an out-of-the-box idea to maybe solve a new problem, or maybe to solve a new solution for an old problem, even better. Why would we say we can't? Why would I say you can't? I can't. Maybe I should try. Maybe I should inspire you to try. Maybe I should ask you, what's next? How do you get there? What would that look like? Right? Because those are the conversations I want to have where somebody shares a dream with me. I share a dream with them, and the next question is, tell me more. Wow, what about this? What would it feel like if you got that? What would you do? Right? Because I would rather plant seeds of success in conversations. I would rather have conversations where I leave going, wait a second, that crazy idea I had, man, she didn't think it was that crazy. They actually asked me what it would feel like if I achieved this. Maybe I should go. Maybe I should try it. Maybe, just maybe I can. I could. Maybe I should take action on what it is. Right? Those are the conversations I want to be in. Those are the conversations I want to facilitate and I want to have. And I want to have conversations with you to where you leave believing whatever it is you want to believe is possible. And somewhere along the path and plan of action and taking steps, maybe you got to pivot a little bit. Maybe you got to adjust. That's fine, but at least you're moving. What I never want to have is somebody leave a conversation with me, go, man, I don't want to talk to that dude again. He just told me I can't. He told me what he would do, what I should do. I didn't learn anything. Right? So give this some thought as you go into this week, right? Kicking off September. So what are we? We're almost to the fourth quarter of the year. Let's put a plan in place to have more meaningful conversations, deeper conversations, more connection to where we both leave going, man, I want to talk to this person again. So try this. Try being aware of these three things. You should, I would, and you and I can't. You or I can't. See about being aware of not putting those into conversations, conscious of not saying stuff like that immediately, and see if you can't have deeper conversations, a deeper connection, and more meaningful interactions with the people in your life. Have an awesome week, everybody. And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.